Hello world, welcome to my kitchen. It's Luann Pygott, and I am going to be cooking my Sunday dinner tonight. Tomorrow we are having ham and bean soup, and we're having ham and bean soup because we had leftover ham. And this is something to do with some leftover ham. It's really easy. There isn't really even a recipe. It's just kind of throw it together, and I'm just going to show you what I'm doing and what I'm making. But I'm also making a peach crumb pie. I've never made a peach crumb pie. I've made apple crumb pie, and I've made peach cobbler. But I am really, in the mood for something different, so I'm making peach crumb pie. So I'm going to put this down. I'm kind of using a little different stand today, so we're going to see if this works. Okay, so here we have, down here, let's see, can you see that? No. Let me move my sugar here. Let's see what we can do. And if I can tell what you can see. Okay, this is ham. This is leftover ham. This is just it's a honey baked ham or something. It's a couple of pieces. I'm not making a whole lot. You would probably want to double that. Okay, so here's what we started with. Let me put my lid on here first. This is my pot of water over here on the stove that you probably can't see. Okay, this right here. That's my pot of water. That is, it has 3 cups of water. That's what they tell you to put in. This is half the amount of the bag of beans. So I use the dried beans. So these are the dried beans, and they're these are navy beans. You can also use Great Northern beans. You can use canned beans, but the drieds are really easy. And they don't have any added salt. You can add your own salt, and the ham, of course, is real salty, but you don't have to have something with a lot of sodium in it this way. And they're really easy to do. So you either soak them overnight, just put them in some water. It tells you right on the package how to do it. You put them in some water, soak them overnight, 6 to 8 hours, and then you cook them the next day. Or you do what I prefer to do, which is called the quick soak, also in the instructions here on the bag. And you put your amount of beans in 3 to 4 cups of water, and, no, it's not that. It's, because I'm only doing half. And you do 6 to 8 cups of water. So I'm doing half, so I'm doing 3 to 4. I did 4 cups and half the bag of beans. But this is not going to feed as many people. So do the whole bag of beans in 6 to 8 cups. And then you bring it to a rapid boil. Boil it for 2 minutes, and then take it off of the heat and let it sit for 1 hour. And then they're ready to cook. So that's where we are now. We have our beans that have been soaked for an hour after being boiled for 2 minutes. So let me show you my little beans. So here we are. Here's our little white navy beans. And they're ready as soon as my water boils. So I have my water over here, and I'm going to put in some salt. I do want to add a little salt because it usually needs more than what's in there. So that's half a teaspoon of salt or something. I'm not going to add a whole lot. Then I'm going to put in a little pepper. Let's see, where's my pepper shaker? Here it is. Maybe I'll try this one. I have dark pepper in it. Oh, I do. Okay. So I got pepper in there. And there's no amount. 1/8 a teaspoon or something. Put however much pepper you like in it. Then, the other thing you want to put in beans, well, you don't have to, but you might want to put in beans, is some ginger. What ginger does is help you to be able to digest the sugar in the beans. So, they're less gassy. So if you put some ginger in this pot of water, it's going to be much easier on your tummy, and you will be happy later that you did. So I'm going to put in a half a teaspoon of ground ginger. This is dried ground ginger. And so I've got that. Hello, welcome. I've got that in there, okay? You don't have to put the ginger in there. You don't really taste the ginger. It just helps you to digest beans, because as you know, beans don't always digest very well. So I'm now going to stir that a little bit. And then I'm going to add my lid and wait for it to boil. And when it boils, we're going to put in the ham and the beans. And we're going to cook it for an hour and a half. Let it simmer for an hour and a half. That's how long it takes to cook them. And you don't really have to do much. You just put them in, turn them on, and you're done. So I'm going to take this ham. Like I said, this is leftover honey-baked ham. And I'm going to just cut it in chunks. You just kind of want bite-sized chunks. And see, there's no amount for this. It's just however much ham you want in there. This is like a couple of big slices, and I'm going to see if this is enough. If it's not, I do have a little more. And if you have the ham bone, that's what you really want. If you have the ham bone, put the ham bone in it, and it will have so much flavor. I don't have the bone because this was a ham we had as a big family gathering, and my sister likes to make this too, and she keeps the bone, and I'm perfectly fine with that because I think it has enough flavor with just the ham. So I just put the chunks of ham in there and let her have the bone. That's perfectly fine with me. And so now that we have that almost ready to go, I am going to wash my hands real quick because I don't want ham on my hands. And we're going to make our peach pie. So this is a peach crumb pie. As you see, I already have a pie crust here. Let's move this out of the way and put our pie crust. This is our pie crust. This is a frozen pie crust. You can make homemade. You can get the refrigerated kind. I like the frozen ones better. I just do. I think they taste a little better. So I have the frozen. And this is not a deep dish. It's a regular. So I have, because this is not a really big pie shell, oh, it's boiling. My water's boiling. I am cutting this recipe in half. Otherwise, it's not going to fit. That strawberry pie I made last week my phone was gone, so I had to get a new phone. So that I was not able to, let me check that. I wasn't able to do that on live. I'll have to do it on live another time, because I don't think I did. Forget what I did and didn't do now. But I will, it was overfilled. It was way overfilled. Because it was the first time I made that recipe. I didn't know how much it was. But, oh, it was a great recipe. So now, I am cutting this entire recipe in half. So here's what I'm actually doing. I am using 2.5 cups of peaches. That's between 4 and 5 peaches. I used 5. That means I ate a few bites of it as well. It's about 2.5 cups of peaches, okay? So you can use frozen peaches. You can use canned peaches. You can use any old kind of peaches you want. I prefer fresh peaches. I always do. Peel them, slice them. I got these yesterday. So there they are. You want nice ripe peaches if you can get that. So there's that. So what we're going to do is 2.5 cups of peaches. Then we're going to have 1/3 cup of sugar. That's white sugar, and I have that here in the bowl. 1/3 cup of sugar. And this, oh no, this is not the right bowl. That's the topping bowl. Here's the bowl with the white sugar. Okay? Am I holding this in the right place? Anyway, bowl of white sugar. I can't see as well with this thing. I may have to do it different. And then you're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. Just a little cinnamon. I think that'll make it tasty. I'm going to move this pie shell out of the way for now. I'm going to use this bowl, and I'm going to get my cinnamon, which is right here. 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. You can leave that out, but they say in this recipe that it really adds a lot to the taste of the peaches. So we're putting in 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. And then we're going to put in 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. That's going to help it thicken up really nicely. So here's my cornstarch. Okay, we are boiling like crazy here. So let's turn that down. And is that ever hot? No, it is hot from the burner. So I'm going to set a timer. Let's see, that's going to be 90 minutes. It's an hour and a half. Okay, so I'm setting that timer, and then we're just going to, I've turned it down. And that will just let that simmer for an hour and a half. And it really, you can come check on it a little bit, but you don't have to do a thing to it. So here we have 2 tablespoons of cornstarch in our mix. Okay, so then we're going to mix that together. Let me get my little whisk over here. A new nifty little whisk. And I'm going to mix the cinnamon and the sugar and the cornstarch. Then we're going to add our peaches. We're going to put our peaches in there. And then we're going to take a spoon and stir the peaches. Get a nice little spoon here. Wooden spoon, well, it's a bamboo spoon. Okay, and we're going to stir that. Coat the peaches, and it also tells you to use 1.5 teaspoons of lemon juice. So I'll squeeze this lemon juice, this lemon, right here. Uh-oh. Oh, I didn't put my ham in the beans yet, did I? Might help if I did that. There's no rush for that, though. It's not like it's gonna matter. It will matter eventually, but let me put all this ham in there and see what I'm gonna turn it back up for a minute so I don't lose my boil. And then let's see how much ham that looks like in there. Put my ham in the pot. Whoops, with the beans. Yep, I think that's pretty good for this amount that I'm making. Pretty good. Okay. Okay, so we'll let that come back to a boil because that was cold ham, so it's going to take a minute. So now we need 1.5 teaspoons of lemon juice. So I squeezed it in here, then I'm going to measure 1.5 teaspoons. There's one, I'm just going to dribble it around. 2, 3. Okay, so there's 1.5 teaspoons of lemon juice. Now we're going to stir some more. Stir our peaches with our sugar and our cinnamon. And then we're going to pour this into our pie shell. And then we're going to make our crumb topping. Okay, so there's that. And put that aside. Here's our... now for our crumb topping, we are using 8 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Cold butter. And then you're going to use 1/3 cup of sugar. Now you can use white sugar, brown sugar, or a mix of both according to this recipe. So I am actually using half brown sugar and half white sugar because this is the person who did this recipe was what they recommended. They said the brown sugar really adds a really good flavor. Let me fix this. A really good flavor to the peach pie. Now, oh, let me fix this burner here again. It's boiling like crazy again. Okay, so normally a crumb topping uses white sugar, but she said with peaches it's really good with the brown and white mixed. So that's what I have. So I'm taking a pastry cutter. If you've never seen one of these, that's what it looks like. You can get these probably at Bed Bath & Beyond. You might can get it at Publix even, I don't know. But you can use a couple of knives or a fork if you don't have a pastry cutter, a pastry blender. It's just kind of faster with this. And so I'm going to mix first. I'm mixing these dry ingredients. Then you're going to take your butter. And you're going to cut the butter into little chunks. So it's cold butter, real butter. Use real butter, don't use margarine. Doesn't bake well. And I'm going to cut it into little cubes. So it's 6 tablespoons. This is only 2, but I have it in pieces. Now, if you don't have unsalted butter, you can use salted. It won't matter. But it calls for unsalted. Usually you bake with unsalted, but I have never been able to tell the difference. So just use whatever butter you have. Okay, so there's some little cubes. And we're going to put that in there. It is getting a little warm here, so if the oven, so it's getting a little soft. You really want this to be cold, but it'll work. So that's 2 of the tablespoons. Here's 4. So that's a total of 6. So see, I cut it like that. Can you see this? I hope. I don't know if you can see it. Here, let me move it over here. Let me swipe the comments for a minute. Okay, there we can see it. Let me see where we can see it, okay? So I'm going to do it that way. Stick it to that knife really bad. Then I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to do it this way. So I have like long, skinny rectangles now. Then I'm going to turn it. Boy, it wants to stick to this knife bad. Goodness. I usually do that. Maybe I should put some oil on my knife. And there's my little cubes. And then the smaller you make this, the easier it is to mix. My hands are warm, and so it's, every time I touch it, it's like, oops, melting. But here's like a little cube right here. So that's kind of what I'm doing right there. More or less. Okay. Then we have the final amount. Then I'm going to take, I've got butter all over my hands, so let me get that on. So I don't get this everywhere. I'm wash my hands real fast. Okay, I'm checking my boiling here. I'm going to turn it down a little bit more. It's boiling really hard. So I have my oven set on 425. So you take this pastry cutter and you kind of mash. And it'll stick to it, so you just take your hand and take it off. You keep having to, you know, just take it off the pastry cutter and go back at it again. They make some that are a little stronger than this one, that cut it a little better. But this is the one I have, is just a wire one, but they make some that are tougher. I've not tried one of those though. But this works good. Like I said, you can use 2 knives and go like this at it, or you can use a fork. Just get it mixed in with the flour and the sugar and the, well, it's flour, sugar, and sugar. 2 kinds of sugar. Get it mixed in here until it looks like little peas, little crumbs. Not big chunks, but where it kind of all looks like it's little pieces. And you just keep taking off what's collecting on here. And you just keep smashing it around, and it'll break up the butter, and you'll get crumb tops. And we're hoping this is going to fit well in this pie shell. We're going to find out in a minute here. So you bake it for 10 minutes at 425. Reduce it to 350 and bake it for 40 to 50 minutes, I think it says. Let me see. Where are you? Yeah, 30 to 40 minutes, I'm sorry. 30 to 40 minutes after the 10 minutes at the high. So 10 minutes at 425, 30 to 40 minutes till it's bubbly and this top is round. And you can, of course, put another pie crust on top if you don't want to do the crumb topping. I really love crumb topping. This gives you something different than just another pie crust. It's really good on my apple pie. Okay, you see how this is getting like crumb looking? I see a couple big pieces of butter, so I'm going after those and smashing them with this. But it doesn't have to be that uniform or that perfect. You just kind of want it in general to look like crumbs. See how it looks like crumbs? And there'll be little chunks and big chunks, and you just want to try to get them somewhat similar. At least that's the way I do it. Okay, so then once you get that all done, and it'll be kind of dry, and you're going to put that on top of the pie. So, now I take a pie crust, and I do this, I think, for every pie I make, because I do not want a raw pie crust when I get done, and I like to put my pie on a tray, because that way it's less likely to be, let's see where we're at here. It's less likely to make a mess and spill and burn on the bottom. So I have blind baked my pie crust a little bit till it's just barely like done. That means I pre-baked it for about, I think I pre-baked this one for 8 minutes at 400, and it's drier feeling, and that way it isn't going to be a raw crust. I'm guaranteeing it's not raw, but you just like, you can cook it like 6-7 minutes until it's just a little dry feeling on the top and not doughy, so it's only partially cooked. It's like par baked. Then you pour in your filling. And I think we pour the liquid. This recipe doesn't specifically say, but you see, this isn't real pie. But if you are making a deeper dish, bigger dish pie crust, then either that or you can make 2 small pies. But you see, this is, I don't want this spilling out, so I did kind of just make this half the filling. This isn't going to be a real high pie because this filling is going to be oozy and bubbly and gooey. It's going to get everywhere. So I'm keeping it a little on the low side so I don't have a mess. But it's easy to do 2 pies, if that's what you want. Then you're just going to take your crumb topping, break up the bigger pieces I got going here, and then you're just going to sprinkle this on top. It's so easy. Sprinkle it on top. Then I'm going to try to take and spread it around so it's kind of even. So we got crumb topping on all, covering all the peaches. Going to the edge, you just kind of keep pushing it around till you get it where you want it. Pushing the peaches down a little bit. Some of them are sticking up. Okay, there we go. Look, peach crumb pie. All right, so now I'm going to put this in the oven for the 10 minutes. Let me make sure I still got that. It's still boiling. Okay, good. So then in about, what's that make, about 40-50 minutes, this pie will be done. So I'm going to go ahead and go because I'm putting everything in the oven here. Let me go ahead and put it in and set my timer for 10 minutes and then come turn it down. And that is going to be so good. All right, 10 minutes. There's my timer. The other timer is set for the soup. And dinner will be ready for Sunday. And I hope you all have a good evening. Bye. Oh, here, let me pull this out. There we are. Have a good night.